First of all, thank you very much for stressing the whole nation-state actors. And I know you have a little bit of special expertise, with your involvement with Homeland Security. So can you give us just a little bit about what has changed?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, I think when we look at the nation-state perspective, that is only obviously getting more sophisticated. And I think what we're seeing, especially as it plays out right now between Russia and Ukraine, the cyber element, as I mentioned before, is a relatively inexpensive, easy way to conduct an attack. You can cause that pain without necessarily having to incur tremendous expense. And then there's also the potential to do things, that moves. The potential to do things and hide attribution. So whether or not you want to overtly cause that issue and the world know you did it, versus cause that issue and leave the world questioning, right? From a physical perspective, that's a lot harder to do, right? If someone launches a missile, we can see where it came from, and we can do attribution really well. Obviously, on the cyber side of things, that is a lot fuzzier, right? And so that's something that we're always looking at from, either our perspective or from a broader DHS perspective is, attribution can obviously be a very tricky thing.
And in fact, the people work overtime to hide their attribution and then set it up in such a way that they can reveal it after the fact. I also want to highlight something that you raised and then jump to one of the questions we've got. I have a vested interest in this, but I strongly agree with the argument that you need a third party to look at whatever you're doing. And if you're comfortable you're doing it wrong, I actually just got a post from somebody that made me chuckle because it was a new success metric, and I think it's a good one. When you're deploying any new technology, the amount of cursing is directly correlated with your success in the technology, because the kicker is you're only cursing if you actually deployed it, so it's not shelfware. But I do think pain is an essential element. If you're comfortable, you're missing something. With that, we've actually got a great question. Oh, wow. We've got a bunch of great questions, so let me see if I can get through a couple.
Sure.
One is, quickly, what are the key cyber hygiene gaps you're seeing with your customers?
Number one, I say, is asset inventory.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yes.
That is, if you don't know what you have, you can't protect it.
So asset inventory, how would you address that?
So typically what I'm looking at there is, a number of different ways to actually just survey the network. There's a tremendous amount of technology out there. I'm not going to push a specific name, but that's one of the first things that we typically do when we do an incident response, because, organizations will have something that they have already put together. And I'll tell you, there's stories where we'll go in and people will rush into the room with, 10 different asset inventory lists. And we're sitting there going, all right, now how do we cross-correlate all this to figure out what the true picture looks like? So having that one centralized and ensuring that it covers all the different types of assets, right? Not just IT, but also OT. Industrial controls, and then also IoT. Because if you don't have the full picture,
it has to be automated.
It has to be
automated. Yep. You cannot. The days of doing this on a spreadsheet are long gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone asked a question. I'm just going to answer briefly. Is there currently any regulation that requires zero trust as a minimum? Yes, there are several, and actually, the U.S. federal government is requiring that a whole collection of companies must be moving towards zero trust. Please have a look at my presentation. It's got some great links for you to go find. An excellent question here. It appears that Verizon has a good security posture to protect its infrastructure. Here's the pat on the head before the question comes in. However, it appears that other carriers, like ones that we're not actually naming, are not paying attention to insider threat to protect customers' PII from being stolen. What is Verizon doing about this?
So, excellent question. In fact, we've got a very, very mature insider threat program. And in fact, we even share insights of it with our customers if it's something that folks want to see. But it's actually something that predates a lot of what we had from an internet perspective, because obviously we were a telco well before internet really became a thing. So we actually developed an insider threat program around telco records going way back in the day, because we handle phone conversations of VIPs, politicians, celebrities, you name it, and everybody here probably in the room to some degree. And so having the ability to put security around that, maintain the integrity of that, was obviously of utmost importance. So that was then expanded into the internet age of how do we wrap the same kind of protocols around it. So whether it's restricting who can access those or having enhanced monitoring of that, as well as tying that into broader things like just simply, hey, you know, where is someone traveling? What are they bringing with them? The kind of access they have as they move, the frequency of their access to data. So we have actually something internally we call the GUARD program. And if anybody wants to hear about it, happy to have a sidebar with you on it.
And speaking of sidebars, Chris, quick question. How long are you here for today?
I will try to be here as long as I possibly can.
Okay, so thank you for joining us.